Don't be afraid of them, as they will reveal all secrets and nothing remains hidden. What I share with you in the darkness, speak in the light, and what you hear whispered, proclaim from the rooftops. The third prophecy of Fatima remains one of the most intriguing revelations concerning the Church, and the time has come to disclose its contents. The custodians of Our Lady's secret have kept it under wraps for an extended period, insisting it wasn't the right time for full disclosure. Only in 2000 did Pope John Paul Roman II reveal the contents of the sealed envelope containing the secret of Fatima. These secrets reportedly pertain to hell, World Wars I and Roman II, and the sufferings endured by Christians during the 20th century. What is the accuracy of Our Lady of Fatima's prophecies, and why is 2024 the anticipated year of fulfillment? Join us in the upcoming video as we reveal the secrets of Our Lady of Fatima, which have remained hidden for a century. The Blessed Virgin Mary received the title of Our Lady of Fatima after she appeared with 3 shepherd children in Fatima, Portugal. She instructed the children to pray the rosary daily to bring an end to the war, which at the time was World War I. Mary continued to visit the children, Lucia, Jacinta, and Francisco, once a month for 6 months. In October 1930, the Bishop of Leiria Fatima deemed the visions credible. The Catholic Church officially recognized the children's visions as worthy of belief in 1930. Today, Fatima stands as one of the most significant Marian shrines globally, attracting approximately 6 million pilgrims each year. Every year, numerous pilgrims journey to the shrine in Fatima to commemorate the Day of Our Lady on May 13th, the anniversary of her first apparition, and again on October 13th. Pilgrims who visit Fatima receive a special blessing, and they pray for healing or other specific intentions. Going back to 1917, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to 3 children in Portugal over the course of 6 months. The most famous of these children is Lucia Santos, who, along with her cousins Jacinta and Francisco Mardo, witnessed the apparitions. Lucia gained particular renown due to her role in revealing the secrets at the behest of the local bishop. As word of the apparitions spread throughout those 6 months, many people sought tangible proof of these divine encounters. In response, during the final apparition in October 1917, Mary performed the miracle of the sun, an extraordinary event reported in newspapers and witnessed by tens of thousands of people. However, it is not just the miracle of the sun that captivates people's imaginations. The secrets conveyed by Our Lady to the children, particularly Lucia, continue to intrigue and inspire deep curiosity and reverence. The children received these visions during one of the middle visits, neither the first nor the final one. Siblings Francisco and Jacinta Mardo tragically died as children during the Spanish flu pandemic. However, Lucia dos Santos went on to become a Carmelite nun, living until the age of 97, and passed away in 2005, 88 years after the apparitions. The local bishop of Fatima instructed Lucia to document the secrets. She willingly wrote down the first 2, but she hesitated to release the third secret. Under holy obedience, the bishop commanded her to do so, and she complied, writing the secret and sealing it in an envelope. She stipulated that the envelope's contents would become more comprehensible by 1960. Pope John Paul Roman II beatified Francisco and Jacinta in 2000, making them the youngest non-martyred children to receive this honor in the Roman Catholic Church. In 2017, during the centenary celebrations of the Fatima apparitions, Pope Francis canonized the siblings. Over the course of 6 apparitions, Our Lady imparted 3 secrets or visions to the children, known collectively as the 3 secrets of Fatima. The first secret was a vision of hell. Lucia wrote that the Blessed Virgin showed them the torments endured by the souls in hell, vividly illustrating the suffering experienced there. The vision was fleeting, lasting only a second, but the children found it nearly unbearable. This intense experience fostered a deep trust in Mary's promise to lead her followers to Christ and save souls from eternal suffering. In the second secret, the Blessed Virgin revealed to the young children a vision concerning World War I, which was ongoing during the apparitions. She predicted the end of the war, but cautioned that Pope Pius V's reign from 1922 to 1939 would witness another, more devastating war unless people stopped offending God, and Russia underwent conversion. The Virgin Mary requested that Russia be consecrated to her Immaculate Heart. Remarkably, World War II began in 1939, just as she had predicted. This brings us to the third secret, which has garnered significant attention. The Bishop of Leiria eventually asked Sister Lucia to write down the third secret, despite her reluctance to share it. The Bishop of Leiria sealed this document until 2000, when they finally revealed the third secret of Fatima on the day of Francisco and Jacinta Marto's beatification. Lucia wrote the third part of the secret that was revealed at the Cova area, Fatima, on July 13, 1917. She documented, "I write in obedience to you, my God, who command me to do so through His Excellency the Bishop of Leiria, and through your most holy mother and mine, after the two parts, which I have already explained. At the left of Our Lady and a little above, we saw an angel with a flaming sword in his left hand. Flashing, he gave out flames that looked as though they would set the world on fire, but they died out in contact with the splendor that Our Lady radiated towards him from her right hand. Pointing to the earth with his right hand, the angel cried out in a loud voice, 'Penance, penance, penance,' and we saw God in an immense light, something similar to how people appear in a mirror when they pass in front of it. This extraordinary vision further cemented the profound impact of the Fatima apparitions and the urgent messages they conveyed. In the vision, other bishops, priests, and religious men and women accompanied a white-clad bishop, whom the children believed to be the Holy Father, as they ascended a steep mountain. A large cross, resembling a cork tree with its bark still intact, stood at the summit. Before reaching the top, the Holy Father passed through a devastated city, moving with a halting and sorrowful step. Afflicted with pain and grief, he prayed for the souls of the corpses he encountered along his path. When he reached the mountain's peak, the Holy Father kneeled at the foot of the large cross. A group of soldiers attacked him with bullets and arrows, killing him. The soldiers also killed the other bishops, priests, religious men and women, and various lay people of different ranks and positions. Under the two arms of the cross, two angels stood with crystal aspersoriums in their hands. They collected the blood of the martyrs and sprinkled it on the souls making their way to God. The attempted assassination of Pope John Paul II was widely associated with the vision of a bishop in white, believed to be the Pope, dying from bullets and arrows. However, some argue that this event does not fit the prophecy perfectly, since the Pope survived the attack, whereas the vision depicts the bishop in white dying. Therefore, some believe that this vision foretells a future event in which a pope will indeed die. Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, one of the greatest theologians of the 20th century and future Pope Benedict XVI, wrote an accompanying commentary to the release of the third secret text. He noted that the secret would likely prove either disappointing or surprising given the intense speculation it had generated. He underscored that the revelation of no great mystery, nor the unveiling of the future in the manner many had anticipated, occurred. He writes that the purpose of the vision is not to depict a predetermined future, but quite the opposite. Its meaning is to inspire change in a positive direction. Therefore, we should completely reject fatalistic interpretations of the secret, such as the claim that the would-be assassin on May 13, 1981, was merely an instrument of divine providence and thus did not act of his own free will or any similar ideas. The vision, on the other hand, speaks of dangers and our potential salvation from them. Now, let's discuss the Marian apparitions at Fatima in preparation for the sixth appearance and the revelation of the secrets. The first Marian apparition, May 13, 1917, Mary asked the children to return on the 13th of each month for 6 months. She told them they would suffer greatly, but would eventually reach heaven. She also asked them to recite the rosary every day to bring peace to the world. The second Marian apparition, on June 13, 1917, Mary asked the children to add the Fatima prayer to the end of each decade of the rosary. The children requested that she take them to heaven, to which she replied that she would soon take Jacinta and Francisco, but that Lucia was to remain a while longer. The third Marian apparition, on July 13, 1917, Mary showed the children a vision of hell and revealed that God wished for there to be a great devotion to her Immaculate Heart. Mary revealed her Immaculate Heart to save souls from hell. She then predicted World War II and the persecution of the faithful in Russia, warning that without prayer and the consecration of Russia to her Immaculate Heart, Russia would spread its errors throughout the world, leading to wars and the persecution of the Church. August 19, 1917. The fourth apparition, the local administrator imprisoned the children to prevent them from meeting Mary. However, 6 days later, she appeared to them in a pasture and urged them to pray very much, and make sacrifices for sinners. For many souls go to hell because there is no one to pray for them. September 13, 1917. The fifth apparition, a crowd witnessed white rose petals falling from the sky and then disappearing. Lucia asked Our Lady of Fatima to cure the sick, but she responded that only some would receive healing because others lacked the necessary faith. The sixth and memorable apparition, October 13, 1917. During this appearance, 70,000 to 100,000 people witnessed the miracle of the sun from up to 10 miles away. At the event, secular news reporters reported unexplainable phenomena. Mary revealed herself as the Lady of the Rosary and emphasized the need for people to amend their lives, seek forgiveness for their sins, and stop offending the Lord, as he was already too greatly offended. These profound and transformative apparitions blessed the children with the opportunity to meet Our Lady of Fatima. During that time, there were many adults, yet Our Lady of Fatima chose to reveal herself to 3 children. This was no coincidence, as not every child receives such grace from Our Lady. The lives of Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, the little shepherds of Fatima, are a testament to grace and mercy. These children embody the paradoxical force evident throughout the history of salvation, the immense contrast between the lives of the proud and powerful, with their schemes, strategies, and conflicts, and the lives of the humble, called by God to be agents of transformation for humanity. God chose the little shepherds, recipients of his mercy, to share the divine message through their simple and pure lives. God selected them to serve as witnesses of his love, bringing his merciful face to the world. Their lives became a testament to God's light, making his presence known to all. Under the shade of an oak tree, the Lady allowed them to see themselves in this divine light. Born in Aljustral, a small village in the parish of Fatima in the early 20th century, Francisco and Jacinta, along with their cousin Lucia, grew up in a modest family environment in a remote and quiet village. They were uneducated, unable to read or write, and knew very little about geography, history, or worldly knowledge. A divine purpose chose these children despite their humble beginnings. The infinite disparity between their simple existence and the grand history of the powerful underscores a significant truth. God often works through the humble and lowly to bring about profound transformation. The little shepherds of Fatima, through their lives and the messages they shared, became the vessels of God's love and mercy, showing that true power and wisdom come from embracing God's will and reflecting his light to the world. Beyond the horizon and mountains, the 3 children received a simple yet profound Christian upbringing and education, typical of their secluded environment. Lucia's mother introduced her daughter and nephews to catechesis, and Lucia, being a little older, taught her cousins the biblical stories and prayers she had learned from her mother. Despite the simplicity of their Christian initiation, their parents provided a living example of committed faith through their actions. They participated in Sunday Eucharist, prayed together as a family, upheld truth and respect, and showed charity towards the poor and needy. Lucia was a thoughtful child, deeply attentive to God's love. Her inner longing for God's full embrace served as the driving force behind her spiritual journey. Francisco, with his contemplative nature, fed his inner silence by gazing at nature. He felt a profound connection with creation, immersing himself in the beauty of the Creator. He was particularly fascinated by the sunrise and sunset, which he saw as symbols of the Lord's light. Jacinta, known for her gentle and loving nature, had a special fondness for the moon, which she saw as the candle of Our Lady because it did not hurt the eyes. She was very close to her cousin Lucia, whom she greatly admired. Jacinta lovingly cared for the lambs, calling them by name and carrying them in her bosom, emulating the compassionate ways of the Lord. Their upbringing in the small, remote village of El Justral, within the Fatima parish, was modest. A nurturing environment of faith enveloped the children, despite their limited knowledge of geography, history, and worldly wisdom. This foundation prepared them to receive and convey the profound messages of Our Lady of Fatima, transforming their simple lives into powerful testimonies of God's love and mercy. They lived with the intensity that only children can, embracing a simple life filled with sincere love for God. Their hearts were free from unnecessary thoughts, allowing them to receive the divine response fully. One spring afternoon in 1916, after a simple prayer, the little shepherds saw a light over the trees. It was whiter than snow, shaped like a young man, and transparent like crystal when sunlight passed through it. At that moment, they had no reason to assume that this light in human form was the herald of God's peace, beginning their journey into deeper spirituality and prayer. This encounter was wholly unexpected, and the little shepherds found themselves enraptured by the immense light. God's overwhelming presence plunged them into an intense atmosphere, leaving them stunned with amazement. The angel of peace visited them 3 times in the spring and summer of 1916. His words profoundly impacted their understanding, shedding light on God's nature, His love for them, and His desire for love in return. The angel spoke of God's heart, a heart attentive to the voice of the humble and filled with a plan of mercy. He invited the children to deeply adore the Most Holy Trinity and to associate themselves with Christ's sacrifice in reconciling all to God. Following this, He offered them the body and blood of Christ, a supreme gift that illuminated their understanding. This sacramental encounter prepared them to sacrifice themselves in order to save ungrateful humanity. These divine visits initiated the little shepherds of Fatima into a profound spiritual journey. Their simple, devout lives became a beacon of God's love and mercy, reflecting the light of divine truth to the world. From then on, the little shepherds lived immersed in a continuous worship of God, marked by a discreet yet confident and bold desire to offer their lives as a gift to the Creator for the sake of others. This became their calling when Our Lady, brighter than the sun, appeared on May 13, 1917, entering deeply into their lives. For 6 months, every 13th day, the Virgin Mary renewed her invitation, laying the foundation for the 3 shepherds to become humble witnesses of God's heart amidst the complexities of a suffering world. Through a series of revelations, Our Lady unveiled to the little shepherds the concept that God's heart deeply cares for human history. They discovered that sin stems from a disregard for God's heart. Yet God, in His mercy, persistently pursues humanity amidst its trials and misfortunes. God calls those who embrace His heart's light to participate in His care for humanity through prayer and sacrifice. During their initial encounter with this divine light, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta were profoundly moved. While Lucia and Francisco pondered the depth of their experience in silence, Jacinta, deeply affected by Our Lady's beauty and filled with irrepressible joy, became the first herald of this newfound divine joy. Like the disciples at Emmaus who could not contain the burning feeling in their hearts before the Paschal mystery, Jacinta confessed to her friends, "I had something inside me that would not let me be silent." Thus began their journey as messengers of God's love and mercy, guided by the light of Our Lady's heart and empowered to offer themselves in reparation for sins and supplication for the conversion of sinners. Their lives became a testament to the transformative power of God's grace and the call to share His light with a world in need of healing and redemption. The news of the apparitions of Our Lady of the Rosary spread quickly, ensuring that the number of pilgrims to the Covada area would steadily increase. However, with this increasing attention came intense suffering for the children at the hands of skeptics and opponents. From the very first encounter, it seemed almost as if the children's fiat was being tested. Our Lady had forewarned them that they would endure much suffering, a common plight for prophets throughout history. The vocation of the little shepherds embraced suffering as an essential part of their mission. They were unjustly accused of fraud and greed, even by some members of their own families except, perhaps, Francisco and Jacinta's father. These family members feared they were perpetuating a falsehood and worried for their safety. Everywhere they went, they faced relentless visits and strenuous interrogations. However, the greatest trial and affliction befell them on August 13th. On that fateful morning, the children were unexpectedly visited by the local administrator, a well-known Freemason and skeptic. He questioned them at their home and at the rectory, desperate to uncover the secret they were adamant about keeping concealed. In a cunning and deceitful move, the administrator proposed to take them to the Covada area, but instead led them elsewhere. There, he pressured them relentlessly to reveal their secret, even going as far as temporarily imprisoning them with other detainees and threatening to harm them. Amidst these dire circumstances, Francisco's innocent response radiated peace and joy. "If they kill us, it's all the same. We'll go to heaven." This steadfast faith and courage exemplified how their lives as shepherd children became increasingly attuned to God's heart. Each trial and hardship only strengthened their resolve to fulfill their mission as witnesses to the divine message entrusted to them by Our Lady of Fatima. The fiat spoken to the radiant lady, brighter than the sun, was continually reaffirmed by Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta through their innocent desire to deepen their passionate love for God. For them, the presence of God became sacred ground, akin to Moses standing barefoot before the burning bush. Their intimacy with God transformed into an act of profound adoration before the inner light that is God Himself, a fire that burns without consuming a mysterious strength that sustained them. This sacred fire within their hearts awakened a sense of responsibility akin to Moses' call to care for those enslaved by sin and ingratitude. They became, in the sight of others, beacons of God's light and, before God, mediators on behalf of humanity. Their lives became a continual offering of all they were and did, no matter how small, out of love for God and for the sake of sinners. Francisco embraced a contemplative path, attuned to the light of the Spirit, drawn to worship and deep contemplation. Jacinta embodied joy, purity, and a generous faith, offering her simple daily tasks as a pleasing sacrifice to God for the redemption of humanity. Lucia, called to evangelize and spread the good news of God's mercy, responded eagerly to God's desire to consecrate the world to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Lucia, in particular, became a steadfast witness, willing to diminish herself so that the radiant light of God's merciful secret could shine continuously. This mission, decisively revealed by the sun and commemorated at Fatima, defined their lives contemplative, compassionate, and proclaiming. Each child, with their unique strengths and calling, contributed to the collective mission entrusted to them by Our Lady, thereby becoming vessels of divine grace and bearers of hope to a world in need of redemption. In her, we glimpse the faithful witness of a gift accepted and offered to the world. Francisco and Jacinta's lives were brief and simple, entirely lived in and for love, revealed to them in the radiant light of the beautiful lady. Their journey took a poignant turn at the end of 1918 when they succumbed to a severe bout of bronchopneumonia. True to the lady's promise, they ascended to heaven swiftly, understanding their earthly time was brief yet filled with profound love. Who would have imagined that such short and simple lives could embody such deep love? They lived with honesty, loving God wholeheartedly like innocent children. As little shepherds, they mirrored God's passion for humanity and were thus chosen and anointed as bearers of God's love, prophets after His own heart. Our Lady of Fatima urgently implored all the faithful to pray daily for the salvation of poor sinners and for the whole world. Her message remains a challenge to each of us, regardless of where we are in our personal prayer journey. It calls us to delve deeper and to pray more frequently and fervently. For some, it may mean dusting off neglected rosaries and rediscovering the power of prayer stored away since confirmation. For others deeply devoted to the rosary, Fatima's message invites a fresh ardor and a renewed commitment to prayer life. This renewed ardor manifests uniquely for each individual adopting new devotional practices, recommitting to attentive prayer times, or increasing the frequency of moments dedicated to the Lord and Our Lady. Yet amidst this call to prayer and devotion, let us remember, these prophecies are not scripture. Our trust remains in the Lord, who guides us faithfully. In embracing the spirit of Fatima, may we find ourselves drawn closer to God's merciful heart. Inspired by the profound witness of Francisco and Jacinta, whose short lives continue to radiate God's enduring love to the world, let us heed Our Lady's call, praying fervently for the salvation of souls and the peace of the world, confident in God's providence and mercy.